Hey guys.
I thought it was to the audience.
I was also so confused.
Hi
I
there,
thought you
Jimmy.
meant, hey.
We could do a bit of a bloopers reel as well. It's fun.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was kind of funny actually. We both were like waiting for something to happen.
Yeah, but let's start. Yeah, hey Isabel, hey Eric. Great to have you on the pod.
Thank you so much for inviting us, Jimmy. Very nice to be here to talk about Klar.
Amazing. Well, if you could share a little bit about who you are and what people will get off the back of this episode.
Yes, should I take the lead?
Yeah, you can start with this one.
We're almost the whole founding team here behind Klar, the learning agent, that I will jump ahead and tell you more about. Yeah, so we're 3 co-founders, and one of them is my name is Isabel Storgårds, and with me today, Eric.
Eric?
Eric, yeah.
My name's Eric, yeah.
And we also have one more that's Andreas. So it's us 3 who's behind behind it all. Yeah, we met actually. So what we let's maybe start with what we have built. Yeah, I'm just gonna jump. We built like the learning agent for students basically, and the story begins with us meeting in university and being students ourselves. So we we built something for us in the beginning that turned out to be our life project, or how's it? So
Indeed.
Today we're dropouts doing this full time and are really excited to take on this journey.
Amazing. Thank you, Isabel. Love the fact that you, as you said, you met each other at university. You experienced the pain for yourself, and then you've gone and actually built something to
Yeah.
Awesome. Eric, love an intro on your side as well.
I mean, it's sort of the same, of course, that we, because all of us 3 co-founders we are like entrepreneurs from even before we started studying. And then we sort of met while studying, and all of us had this, I mean, we wanted to excel in school in the same time as we had our companies, right? So we all like bonded over that we all studied in a very efficient way with AI, which like our peers didn't. Then we were like, okay, well, maybe we could build this instead of our 3 separate companies or products or whatever. So yeah, and then I think it was this fall, right, that we started building, and then we launched this in the store like January this year. And I mean, it has gone very good since then, if I'm being modest.
I love that. No, you absolutely sing your praises, right? So I'd love to get into Klar and what you guys have built and the success you've had to date. You touched on it there in terms of you guys are entrepreneurs even before meeting. So I'd love to hear a little bit of background about what you were building before you came together, and your, I guess, journey as entrepreneurs before Klar.
Yeah, maybe you want to start, Isabel?
Yes, I can. Absolutely. Ironically, I was already building in edtech. And I've been building in edtech for almost, afraid to say it, I think it's 4 or 5 years now. So it's really been a space that's not new to me. So way before Klar. And I think that's also what's so extra, like I said, ironic with how my story or kind of background begins, because a little bit like Eric told you, we didn't fall in love with entrepreneurship with Klar. That happened way before this. And actually, Klar, the first MVP that I created for myself, I created in order to be able to find time. So I was a full-time student, but I was also a full-time entrepreneur. I say that. So I wanted to spend all my time building my incredible edtech app back then. So while I thought, so I had to figure out a way how I could still excel in my studies while also spend most of my time actually building my startup. And the ironic part is that while I thought this, what I was building back then had the value that was going to change education, it was actually what I built for myself during this time to be able to have both of these lifestyles that ended up being the real value that my friends and peers in school was more interested in than what I was building. In a way, that's also kind of that's also why I love Lovable, just because it makes it so easy to start, and you don't have to have the perfect product from the beginning. For me, it's very clear that I'm just glad I started, because it was, even though that wasn't the end product, it's the journey that really got me to where I am today.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's a little bit of my background.
Very, very cool. Like you saw something for yourself and up being, the focus there, which is great. Eric, was that similar for yourself? I know you're
Actually,
rocking the whole hat as well. So
yeah, it's from the founder series event which we were like presenting at or whatever. But no, it's very very similar. I also had my company was a clothing brand and also my like personal social media brand or whatever. And my friend and I also worked like a part-time job. I had too many things going on. But my friends were like, Eric, how come you never show up to lectures? You say that you don't buy any books. You are out like on vacations. You're like working away in Denmark and like you're never at home, but you still like just, I see on the tests and you get even better grades than us. Like how do you do it? And I was like, well, do I need to start a course or something like to explain how to use AI? And then I knew that because we were in the same introduction weeks or whatever in school. So then I knew that Isabel had her edtech going on, and she started working with Andreas, which is like our product guy or whatever. No, but like he's responsible for the
With designer background.
this with designer background of the product how it is today. And they started working, and then you guys just we started working or whatever. And because I was like, yeah, this is I would love to use this tool. Like, can I use it for my no, they were like, you can join and give it to other people as well.
I think so even before this, so we met in like in university in the same like course, and because we were both having this double life with being entrepreneurs and also like building our startups, but also being full-time students, me and Eric actually also, because we're a little bit of idiots, thought we had the time to. We were also like founded a founder's house, we called it, before the one in Stockholm that's very popular now, the founders house as well, but it was in Uppsala. So just to, because we were all solo founders, just to sit together and yeah, and work on our own things. So that was also once me and Andreas, once Andreas joined, we started doing Klar. Then from the beginning, was always in my mind that we need to have Eric on the team as well. So we were like, we have to seduce him in a way to get him over to do this, because I think in so much has happened right now with AI and vibe coding and all this, because none of us in Klar actually have a technical background. So today it's much more about the like taste and design and really about distribution and marketing. That's also why it was so important for me when I also wanted to have the perfect sensibilities to like Eric was like a key part of this with your background in like personal branding and
amazing. Very, very cool. As you said, right, it was fantastic that you all came together. You were having the same problem yourself, leveraging the same tools, all from non-technical backgrounds, right?
Yeah,
And then
no,
you've really lent on, as you said, the sort of the taste element, the design and the distribution side of things. So I'd love to understand a little bit about that. But yeah, I'd love to first hear about your introduction to Lovable. When did you start playing around with Lovable? What did, first version of the product look like? Like, what was your approach to it? Did you, as you said, was it distribution? Was it speaking to other people that had similar problems? Or did you get straight onto Lovable and start, I guess, vibe coding away? How was your approach to the early days of Klar?
do you want to start or should
no,
I
it's yours.
continue?
No. You're the how Lovable came to Klar or
Yeah.
whatever.
Actually, yeah, I think actually it's Andreas from the beginning, but
Oh, yeah,
who,
that's true.
but no, I think we were very early, like when Lovable, before it was actually like this huge thing and everybody knew about it. We were kind of early. We are based in Stockholm and from Stockholm, so we heard about it and tested it out because we were already entrepreneurs and like I was already trying to build an app, so that was very like I was in the right environment for hear about these things, I guess. And it blew my mind, to be honest, how much and you could really do. So before this, I had like a whole like a team in India with engineers, and with me no like technical background trying to figure all of this out. With Lovable, I could, and that took me like 6 months. And in those 6 months and all that money, I built with Lovable like a much better version, to be honest, in like a couple of days. So that was like my first, like it really blew my mind. And also that changed how fast you could really like test things as well, because I've always had so many ideas. And I think that was like the first step. So a little bit what I earlier told you guys about my story, that I created these kind of first MVPs that my peers and friends were already also got interested in. So I just like built thousands of terrible, like they were terrible designs, there were no design, but just to test different features and like figure it out, what people were interested in and so. And I think along the way, we realized that like 60% of students already pay for like ChatGPT.
Mhm.
Even though, so we're from Uppsala University and we had access to free Gemini. They had made this deal with the university, but no one used it. People were still using like paying for chat, and like I was one of them. So with my also experience with edtech, I was a little bit like, okay, there's no money really in edtech, and it's a very slow progress. That's why nobody has like claimed this domain yet, like they have done with like legal or so. But what we realized is that there actually are potential here, since 60% of students are paying. So that's kind of when we changed from all of these, how I started with multiple, just thousands of features. That's really when Andreas came in with his like designer and like less is more skill, and was like, okay, but let's just take away everything. And if we just look what students already using, if we just take that and make it slightly better just for studying, that's like the first step.
Mhm.
So that's what we did, and actually sold this to students before we built it. Like, so we went to Gothenburg and stood out at this
Fair, yeah, a career.
yeah, basically, yeah,
Brilliant.
and sold this to students. Not just like them signing up for a waiting list, but like actually getting them to like Apple Pay and
Yeah.
like writing down their card. So that was also one of the, I think, from having experience of not making like it going from free users to actually having paying users. That's a very tough gap.
Yeah.
So we wanted to sell it first. And then as soon as we knew, all of us dropped out, moved in actually with each other in like this small dorm in Uppsala, and just built this with Lovable and
Yeah.
launched it then in January, end of January.
But it's a shame that Andreas couldn't show up to this interview, because like it was very much there in the beginning where like we all three of us guys had so many ideas. Like, we could do this, I would love this, I would love this, and then he was like, wait guys, let's just like start with the basics and then build from there. So we were like yeah, we were trying out some things like what would students pay for, and then through that we could like, yeah, find our MVP and start like working on from there.
Exactly. A little bit, sorry. No, just wanted to, a little bit what Sana kind of started, but left for enterprise, picked up.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. So I want to like double down on that approach, because it's a double-edged sword, right? When you have something like Lovable, where it's so easy to just type in something and it gets created very, very quickly, where you can just throw lots and lots of features and start building this like mega everything app type thing. So it's actually like the art to identify, which is what you did, right?
Yeah.
Identify that one workflow or the one feature that people really want.
Mm.
Out of interest, yeah, how recommending that to others, in the same space where they've got an app and they want to try and make it do as much as they can, but actually the art is in identifying that first workflow that people want to pay for. What would you recommend is either the approach that you used, or what would you recommend, and what would you do now as the approach to sort of identifying that one workflow? And what was that workflow that ended up going with?
I would say two things just spontaneously. Like, one of the things would definitely be to, I mean, maybe the cliche and everybody says this, but really like nerd down, like get as close as you can to the user. That's also kind of, I mean, when I went to university, that was basically to get closer to being like, I became a student as much more of like an imposter as well, just because I felt like I lost track when I got too caught up in the startup world and didn't understand how students work anymore. So I think you have to really like nerd down and find your customer and understand how they work, I think, because for me I thought like, okay, everybody used like AI and now it's too late. And then you go to like school and see that, like Eric said, nobody even used like chat. So I think really study as close as you can who you want to your customer, and then also you don't have to invent the wheel again. I think that's the stupidest thing, because if it's not doesn't exist yet, then there's something wrong with it in a way, because that's kind of how I learned the hard way. I think now everybody has already, I mean, my first idea that I have now, I met like several people all over the world that had the same idea, and none of us made money from that. So I think really to like, you don't have to invent the wheel. Instead, see what like humans are already ourselves always trying to solve problems. So how for us it was like, how are students already coping with like this? How are they? How does the workflow already look like? And
Mhm.
then instead of introducing okay, now you have to okay, by making by what do you call it, parallel to a toothbrush, but like if the student brush the customer brushes with a normal toothbrush, instead of like now you also need to do like flossing and do, I don't know, like a mouthwash. Instead we were like, here's a like electrical toothbrush a little bit for studying. So that's the first step to get them like, because we are also, I think it's a lot of like psychology, when you have a habit as well, to get someone to change the user.
Awesome. Yeah, it's good
Oh,
analogy. Nice to hear that there was a lot of sort of interviews and speaking to customers, right? To the
yeah.
users to really understand what that looked
Also
like.
like sitting down with the users, like
Mhm.
just like here's the landing page and how would you navigate from here, and like we do that continuously, I think the word is even now, like with the landing page from like our social medias on the iPhone, and then we take notes from like, okay, no, he thought this like button was supposed to be there, okay, then we know that and we can work on that. So those, I mean, I think that's like old news sort of, but it's very, at least from my experience, that's very important to like build what the customer wants and not what like, as I said, with our three people, we're having so many ideas. It was like, okay, but wait, let's dumb this down and go ask the end user what they would prefer or like use, basically.
I think you, Eric, are especially really good at this, like talking to the users. So not just in the beginning, because even though we launched in like end of January, the product has changed and developed a lot. And a lot of that feedback and how we have like made it better has come from you really just, I mean, I think Eric spends every day talking to users. So I think
Yeah.
that's also
Super. And then and it sounds like you've just done everything right in terms of you're solving your own pain point, right? You were number
Yeah.
one user. Then it was, whittling down that first workflow and making sure that you don't overbuild, getting it in front of users as early as possible, as often as possible. And then importantly, pre-selling the products and getting
Yeah.
getting the cash before you even build, right? So really, really cool that you did that. Yeah, talk us through that approach, because that sounded really interesting. What did you, when you were sort of presenting or talking at that event, what did you prepare? Was it a bunch of slides? Was it a mock-up? And then just interested in how many users did you pre-sell, and did you take that as validation? Yeah, I'd love to know a little bit about that experience.
Yeah, so it was like this career fair, which universities has, like where you can talk to companies and brands overall. We just stood there with a table. We had like a beer pong tournament or whatever to win, like to get some students to talk to us. And then they were like, okay, but what do you do? Like, we know that you stand here as a company. Like, what do you do? And then we had like this goal of like, of course, getting them to like, okay, this is a good idea and put in their Apple Pay or whatever. But then at least it was also like this, like what when I say this uh what is it called? Function, can I say application or whatever, like this this one,
feature.
do they a feature, exactly, that's the right word. Like if I mention this feature, will they be like, okay, of course, then I will pay? Or will it be this feature that they will, oh yeah, that I love that. And one of those features has been that also students that come to us and be like, we should add this, is like you could join courses, which you can't. Okay, but that's a little bit more like product specific. But it was also trying out, like basically in a way asking the students, what do you prefer from all these features?
I think we have which is very interesting. We have that's also why I wanted to like not take this alone. Like it would have been great if Andreas could have been here
Yeah,
as
yeah,
well,
yeah.
because I think I have a completely different answer to that question. But that
Effectively.
explains like also what a little bit what I said before. Like Eric is so good at talking to the like students, and that's really what you did. Like you were crazy out there, just really um pick like talking to each individual and getting this like much more like in-depth personal stuff. For me, I saw this as much like the outer perspective, and what I would say is that we basically a little bit what we had figured out that students are like they want to save as much money as they can. They're already paying for like ChatGPT. So while Eric was like talking to all of the students, we didn't have like any prototype or any mock-up or anything, but we had a screen with, and in the beginning it said something like learning agent or like study like blah blah blah, and it didn't capture anyone. So then I changed it to like, are you paying for ChatGPT Plus? We give you, I think it was uh, like talk to us and
7.
we'll give you 700 crowns, something like that. That was very like, why would they give us this? And it was basically because we were we were like, okay, we're just doing exactly what, like we're building ChatGPT uh, and then application there and just lowering the price. So with us, you would save this amount just so if they would switch. So that's like the bottleneck to get him in, and then they got talk to Eric and from like get it like not just we don't want to like build a just a random like chatbot. So that's also how you got to like really understand the features and everything. But I think it's just interesting to get all of this like views on how we also work as a team.
Different
Yeah.
perspective about that.
Yeah.
Very. We it reminds me a little bit. Earlier in my career, I worked for a smoothie company called Innocent Drinks, and there's
Mhm.
a famous story about how they set up, and before they they were still working full time, they set up in a festival making smoothies, had a big sign over the top of the smoothie cart saying, "Should we quit our jobs and do this full time?" So it's
Okay.
reminding me of your little sign that you were talking about there to draw people in. And then there was a yes bin and a no bin. I guess there were
Uh,
people with,
Cool. Yeah.
right, which is the validation, which you were pre-selling. And then, obviously at the end, there was a overflowing in the yes bin and what have you. So, no, very,
cool.
very cool that you sort of did that. And yeah, you clearly
I
validated.
think that's one of the things, like dumb it down. It's my favorite quote because that's all, like if there's something that describes our journey and like from starting with all these features to like making it more simple, and then like everything we have done is like, okay, we take a step back and like dumb it down. That's and really finding the pain point again, understanding like truly the user. Now, okay, I just have to jump in and say because this is something that I really like learned. So what I was building also before was like what I wanted to build was a personalized Duolingo. So what one could like the vision, what we're doing with Klar now has all like been my vision a little bit from the start. Like I've always wanted to do something with like learning and making it more like fit for all right now. Because right now the system is so specific towards one sort of person. So that's always like been one of like the vision. But I think what I also realized with the app that I was building before with before Klar was that I got a lot of people on the waiting list. People were super interested in what I pitched, and then I did this mock-up and all of this, like how you should do it. And then when the exam came, the usage dropped completely, and I was so like confused because this is when you should use it the most. And then that's also how I truly like realized that okay, the pain point and is really the exam. The rest, like people are willing to try new stuff, but the pain point is the exam. And if they won't use it for the exam, they won't pay for it because that's where the like okay, here's where I find it worth spending my money, but also making them trust something that you have your student loans. It's not just like a grade; it's like basically a student's life. So I
Yeah.
think that was also like an interesting like lesson. And then we basically flipped it around. So we started with the exams, and now Klar has become more than just an exam tool. But yeah, sorry, I just wanted to like,
Yeah. Well,
'cause I feel like that's also it's a learning curve, right? So with everything you do, and really finding the finding the biggest pinpoint that maybe your user themselves don't want to like directly say, but figuring it out with testing. And also why I got to think of it was that obviously we want, it's always nice if you can save money. That's
Totally.
also one of the tips, to really find like the human, what is it?
The human benefit.
No,
And the financial benefit as well, I guess. And that's a really good point, right? In terms of, I think a good example of what you learned previously is sort of sounded like you built this wait list for, I mean, that was nice to have a bit of a vitamin, and really the painkiller was the piece around the exam time, right? So as you said, you sort of flipped it. What's the painkiller? What are they willing to actually like spend their money on? You know, tap their card and sort of start from there, which is a really good point. Continue to find the painkiller and not the vitamin, right? That is awesome. And so I guess love to hear. Okay, so you got the prepayment there. What's been the journey from there in terms of then building out the app, monetizing it, to sort of where you are today?
I mean,
I can just jump, and I think apart, like I agree with you. It would have been amazing. I think we can still obviously talk and show the product, but especially with what's happening in the world and with all of with the tools that it's very easy to build, and anyone can basically build today. Our success really also comes from like our marketing strategy. So that's also like once we saw that, I mean, we sold this without even having a product to show. Then we were like, okay, how do we reach the students, and how do we again, not because we were all like, EdTech has had this kind of, there's a vibe to it.
stigma.
There's this like, like an animated owl sort of pop up like icon, like a logo, and there is certain like ways how you should do it. So I was also super tired of that. And I think for us, why we also have like reached and succeeded in the way that we actually have now, it was a lot because we were very bold with the marketing. And that's I think as well like the next step, to really just how can we, again, it's about like understanding the user. So most students are on like the best easiest way is TikTok, and student or like everyone uses TikTok not like on their spare, like on their free time, to get out like a break from studying. So the worst thing you can do in our, that's how we realized, is to then pop on there and talk about studying. So instead we have focused like the marketing on like with Klar, you have a much more time for to live like your student life, and you should really embrace it. And this is a very like a fun part of the of studying. And I think that's also how what makes us stand out quite a lot. Now I think people's like opinion switched, but in the beginning it was very like it was different, and we got a lot of like people raising their eyebrows, and like it's just really smart to do like beer pong and all of this when you want to be a serious like
Yeah.
but again, like it's students, so how do we reach the students? And that's
I
really
love the thing.
yeah, I think so. Before Klar, I tried to do what most people, I guess, try to do in like edtech, is to like come from the top and like you have to do a B2B and sell to the universities and work with schools and all this. And to do that, you have to like sustain for 5 years minimum because it's
Yeah.
such a slow process. So once we decided to do this, I was a little bit like in the beginning, am I going to do this again, calling all the municipalities? But then we realized that let's just start bottom up. And that has also truly been like the key. And also once we decided to like, okay, let's just not focus on like universities and all of this, because I think that's also why edtech companies don't want to go too bold with their marketing. But we were like, let's just actually focus on the students here. And I truly think we found like a loophole as well. So what we did was to basically find what was like a student facilities, and like collab with them and create this. So because we also have built this kind of
Right.
associations. No, so like focused on like doing fun content on like TikTok. and like doing interviews and showing student life in different campuses around and making that almost like its own thing, so that we got even now like universities all around Sweden are like reaching out to us, wanting us to come to their campus and show around. And once we go there, now we're making like a collaboration, so the students there also get like first 30 days for free to test out Klar. And that's how we have, that's really also how we have like done the distribution.
That's really, really clever, right? In terms of, as you said, often the B2B approach is a lot slower. So actually going directly to the end user is a really good approach. We did that for my time, but I worked for a health tech company in the UK called Accurex, and they actually got loads of success doing that. Obviously, health tech's very regulated industry, and getting into places like the NHS very hard. And so actually going directly to the doctors and the practices ended up being the thing that unlocked growth initially. So it sounds like you're having that same success, right? It's going straight to the students.
Yeah, I think you shouldn't be scared of, I mean, people are scared of B2C because you don't feel like it's going to scale as well or as good as like a B2B. But thanks to us doing it B2C, we have like, now, if students are using Klar, which they are doing at campuses, all of a sudden we have a seat at the table that would have taken years, but now we have a seat at the table with the university. They are forced to talk to us and to yeah, exactly. So now we with the marketing and how we did this, like we gain like power that we would never have before, because now they have to talk to us and they can't like ignore that the students are already like using Klar. So that's also like if someone is like scared of doing B2C, because I think there is a like standard procedure and a lot of like VCs are not interested in a B2C product. It's still, you don't have, it still could be the way to have a breakthrough and to just get your first customers in if you don't, because otherwise you have to, at least like you have to survive for like 5 years. And if you don't raise that kind of money in the beginning, it will be hard.
Yeah, you've done so well on that. And I guess, it's, as you said, force their hand and using things like TikTok, etc., to sort of get in front of them and create that engaging content to actually cut through. What do you, the partnerships approach is a really good one as well, right? In terms of the university societies and things like that. What would you say has been is there anything else that you've done in terms of that distribution piece, and what's been the most successful for you in terms of generating paying users, things like that?
Our biggest question is,
it's just whether you do anything else in that. So you talked about sort of engaging the partnership side with these things like that, doing those sort of 30-day free trials, creating the engaging I guess short form content directly to users, showcasing the fun outcomes of having more time and things like that. Is there anything else that you guys are doing, or those are the sort of two main focuses? And then, which has been a bigger driver for you in terms of growth?
I would say so. I think so. We've basically done this like road trip, or like almost like a tour, like a campus tour. We show up at campuses, like that's also like important, like being there and showing that we are also a part of the brand. Is like we're students, like this is by students for students, right?
Yeah.
Engaging the students themselves, but also the student associations, and then before leaving, setting up ambassadors as well to keep it going, because that's also one of the key things here. Because the next step for us is actually to move to the US and go there as well. And we don't want then what we have built here in Sweden to just collapse, because it has to become like their habit and a part of the student life, that the older students are using it for the new ones. But I would say as well, like the key thing for us was we targeted the new students that just started, because they don't have any like habits before of how they are studying. And so we targeted them, building partnerships with the older students, so, and getting them to be ambassadors, like wearing our merch. So for a new student, that's the first thing you see, and it makes it so much more easier to get them on board and to start a new habit. And all of a sudden and then they become the older students. So we build a new generation of Klar users. And with ambassadors, we want this to like be able to continue even when we live the country.
It's a very, very clever approach, right, to set up that ambassador program. Already, apart from the perks around the merch and things like that, there any sort of other incentives as part of the ambassador program? Is it sort of like referral, or how have you set
That's
them
also
up?
what's so cool. We're still bootstrapped. We haven't like we. I mean, we're not taking out salary. Everything we are what do you say? We're just the money we get in, we reuse to build.
Reinvesting.
Yeah, we invest back in the company again and again. So, and that's also one of the keys, I think, with building ambassadors. You want them to have like after, obviously, we will be able someday to like pay ambassadors as well, but you want them to find something else, like what's also studying the students really close and the users. And I mean, for us, it's very cool because like students are like one of the few groups in society that already like works for free for this students associations. And like we like also, again, we're not inventing the wheel. We are looking at how, like, why are they engaging in this? Why is it like what the what do you call, what key key things are making like it's hard to like this to, there's a status thing here, and all of this goes in. So I think that's also one of the key things we have done with the ambassadors. So, and yeah, looking at how basically the, is it called student, so you don't say it wrong, student associations, but basically how they have
Yes.
done it, and taking that back
Very,
to Klar.
yeah, as I said, clearly, a really good approach, and it's working really well. And so, just to inspire those that are sort of, building with Lovable now, because as you said, you've created this from scratch, 3 non-technical founders, built in Lovable, and you're now obviously have a set of paying users. So where have you got to in terms of revenue? I know there's been some things talked around the revenue that you've generated with your what's a Lovable built project, and then your plans for the future moving forward, which you touched on.
Yeah. Do you want to take this one? I feel like I'm talking so much. Yes.
Love
So
it.
like, I mean, we reached just, so we launched we have done this also in batches, but like after just 1 month of launch, we reached 1.3 million Swedish crowns in ARR, which was very cool. And also that's one of the things we haven't really mentioned here, is that we have also made it, again, like opening it up in batches, which has been very smart, making it feel uh, like more exclusive. That's one of the things. And now I mean, then we have a very like we have a steady like MRR. That we are just like, we just closed one of the big like a few big what is it called, like long-term partnerships with some very cool like it's hard in English, what's it called, like at the associations, it could be, yeah. So right now we are currently like looking exactly how this will now, because we just closed this week, to be honest. So we're gonna do this. I'm making a little tease now. But we're gonna almost do it as what would you say? Not a launch, but yeah, uh, we want to
Announce.
show how crazy our growth has been, and that's gonna come out soon with this
Okay.
partnerships on. We're gonna go out crazy on LinkedIn, I think, on that one, just because it's, yeah, that's a story itself. How we first month reached this with the batch doing B2C, and now with the long-term partnerships. Yeah, just one of, I can tease a little bit. One of the partnership we closed now is they have like 35,000 students. They're gonna get Klar now for 30 days free. And what we have seen before giving out 30 days free to our students is that I think it's like 40% that continue on their like 3rd month.
Amazing.
So a little,
Little
a little,
exclusive
yeah.
there. Appreciate that. Yeah.
We're setting up the data room right now for raising.
Thank you. Well, look, I appreciate you sharing the little exclusive, and really awesome that you're sort of not only been successful with the launch directly to the user, but also now, sort of partnerships. I don't know if you'd consider it some B2B, but obviously sort of doing a bit of a launch there. With regards to, so keep your eyes peeled, everyone, in terms of that announcement on LinkedIn. story there, which is great. So obviously that's significant revenue, right? With a project which is phenomenal. How long out of interest was it that it took you, Andreas, the team to build out that first version of the product on Lovable?
Good question. I think we did a little, I mean, we launched, I think it was 20th of January, but then we have been building the product and testing it and like doing like multiple like MVPs in the fall. But I think actually I would say maybe longer than people would expect, even though it was lovable, because the key was really to like less is more. And it's hard to make it super, especially like you can add 1,000 features. And in the beginning, you know, that really took time and to make it so clean. Because again, that what's super important for our users studying them is that they already they're students and they have to study and they have to learn a bunch of things, and the worst thing you can then do is get them to having to learn how to use your product, because they don't want to have another thing they need to learn. For us, I would say, I mean, maybe then approximately how many months is that? Maybe 4 months to just really before we like actually launched it in January. But we then tested it we had like test groups to really figure out why we wanted it to be so, we wanted to see if they wouldn't like go on ChatGPT. It would be as easy just to jump to Klar.
Straight to
So that was the key thing. And that was actually kind of hard. And not many people, I think, understands that. So if you would just glance at Klar, you would be, oh, there's just a chatbot. This can be built so easily. But the tricky part is really to make it feel like it's just a chatbot when it's not.
Cool. Yeah, as you said, it perhaps there's a lot more that goes into it, right? To get it to the point of sort of less is more and having that really smooth user experience. Also, I know we want to dive into a bit of a demo to actually showcase the products, if you'd like. But was there anything else that comes to mind in terms of where you're at on the journey, and like anything that you think you've learned that you'd like to, that we haven't touched on already, that you'd sort of share?
Okay, of course I have something to say. I'm sorry, everyone. I have ADHD
Great.
and love, like, this is my favorite story, you know, I'm so passionate
Learned a
about this.
lot.
But so for me, like, the key thing I would definitely say that we haven't touched on is also like truly the team. I feel like that still has to be very highlighted because I've been a solo founder, and my biggest, I mean, my biggest pain point, and what's been so hard for my journey, what I've been doing startups and not like succeeding as I wanted to, has really been because it's very hard to find the right team. And I think that's also something a lot of people say, but it's truly, truly the key. I mean, I know now that whatever happens, like, we're going to fix this. We can, like, us three, we can do like anything. It doesn't have to be an editing. We can build basically whatever because we work so well together. We are compensating each other's skills. So I really think that's one of the keys to really not be like greedy. I also want to like say, because I don't think this is something people talk enough about, because I had already been building in edtech and had in the beginning like the contacts, and we decided to do this in my old like company because we have some old investors in edtech already. And the first thought of everyone around me was like, okay, but are you guys really like equal founders? Should this be your co-founders? I mean, you've been building and doing a lot in edtech already. I really think that is one of the like key things. You have to sort of step away from your ego to succeed a lot. And I think most founders are very have a hard time, I don't know, with this. And it's tough, obviously, but I think it's so important that for like one of the key things for us three is that we all feel like we're fully hearted into this. It's not like, oh, just, you know, there's I don't know, even like a symbolic percentage could destroy this feeling of this is just as much my um like work. So now I want to put my like whole life to this, because I think if you find like a co-founder that has this and passion and that works really well with, that's worth so much. Like, I can't explain how much that is worth. Yeah, so that's one of the biggest things I would definitely like say to people out there is that you should like, and yeah, and because that's the key is really the team, to be honest, and the people behind it.
Very cool. Very cool. I think it's a really good lesson, right? Because as you said, there's a risk that happens often. And, I've experienced it as well in terms of, oh, it's my baby because I've worked on it more and all that kind of stuff. But as you said, all that matters is what happens from here and moving forward. So actually
Exactly.
making sure that you feel like you're all, equally vested. It's great to hear that that's been a big part of your success. Yeah, awesome. And on that, in terms of like, as you said, in terms of Andreas on the design side, you both, how have you split it in terms of each of you being responsible for a certain area? Like, have you assigned yourselves actual roles? Like, how do you split focus? And obviously, 3 being non-technical. Like, who do you feel as though that having someone technical is on the horizon? Just interested in terms of like what's worked well for you as 3 co-founders. What each of you focus on and what's worked well, and then on the technical side, is that because that's solved with Lovable, is that not a consideration? Or interested in your approach to that?
Yeah,
Awesome.
exactly. I think you basically said it. But yeah, Andreas is focusing on like he's obviously has a design background, so he's amazing on the like it doesn't look like vibe coding when he's building. I guess me and Eric, we are working very closely and doing this tour right now, going to universities. But then Eric is the like much more of the student facing brand, and I am more the long-term partnerships. So I talk to the universities and like because that's still something we do. And more the not the serious, but in a way, I think that's kind of how we like long-term partnerships. That's how we divided it up a little bit. But you also have to, I mean, we work on this. We don't have a life right now, or this is our life. We don't do anything else, like truly. And we even live with each other. Like it's crazy. So,
Awesome.
and we see each other every day. So it's just like everything you have, like there's just things that has to be obviously just done. And we all have like no problem of just doing the what do you say, the dirty work as well. So just getting to the point and again, like not be maybe too focused on like whose role is this? 'Cause that can also just take
True.
like just in the beginning when you're just starting something that takes a lot of unnecessary like focus and time and energy instead of getting actually stuff done. So I think that's also something to say.
Yeah. Well, that's in itself a good learning, right? In terms of not necessarily being too strict with any role responsibilities, but knowing each other's strengths and knowing where you do best. As you said, product Andreas, Eric, you on the student user facing piece, and then Isabel, you on the sort of the partnerships
Yeah.
side as well. So that's really nice. And I think probably maybe you'd agree around the speed at which you've been able to work purely by living together and
Yeah. Yeah.
being
Exactly.
able to run very fast off the back of that.
Yeah. It's a little bit insane actually how we've done this, but that's also very like it's very cool to once you find like your people, it's like we were just like, okay, let's go. We have nothing.
Sorry to miss him, but great that he's going to be able to showcase
Yeah.
Klar for everyone now.
Okay, this is Klar. So we've built the most powerful and easy to use AI agent. So everything happens through the chat here, so there's no learning curve. And Klar is connected to all the leading AI models. So instead of having to choose between all of them, you can simply have all of them in one place, so you always get the best answer. So to get started, you go over to courses over here to the left, you click new course, and you simply search your course. So I'll search for my course, and you'll get a list of all the available courses with hundreds of students in each with already uploaded course material. If you can't find your course, you can simply choose create course, or if you have a friend who's created a course and wants to invite you, you can join their course. I'll just join my course here. Klar is now connected to my course. In the library here, we can see all the sources. So we have a bunch of old exams, lecture notes, and so on here. And if I want to upload my own stuff, I simply click upload, and I can upload any file as big as I'd like right here. So before I get started here in the course, I want to choose model. I'll just click auto, so it automatically chooses the best model for what I want it to do. And I can also see here that I've turned off internet and model knowledge. So Klar will only use the course sources I've uploaded, so it won't hallucinate anything else. To get started, I can type whatever I want, or I can use one of the quick actions here. So if I want to create an exam or flashcards or podcasts, I can do that. Now I'll simply just say, hey Klar, can you please summarize my course? Thank you. So if my Klar is voice activated, I can simply say that to make it start. So here it will read all my sources from my course and give me an answer. And in my answer here, where it has summarized my course, it will give me citations. If I click the citations, I can see what file was used and what phrase in the file this answer is based on, so I know it doesn't make anything up. After every answer Klar gives, it also gives you follow-ups, so you don't need to know how to prompt, it will just simply give you the best path to take. I will simply choose a quick action here and say click create an exam. So here I simply choose what files I want the exam to be based on, so I'll choose these 3 old exams. Then I'll choose how many questions and what type of questions. I can also give extra instructions if I want. Then I just click Start Exam. And what Klar will do now is it will read all my course material and identify the patterns in the past exams and create a new exam with the most likely questions to come. So basically, test me on what I actually need to know. So if I click the exam here, I will open it. And here we have a real exam. So if I want to, I can close the chat and it gives me a question. If I don't understand, I can simply click explain or give a hint. Otherwise, I just do the questions. So for example, here we have a analysis question. I'll write that I don't know, and I'll grade my answer. And the chat will open up automatically and look at my sources and grade my answer based on that. So here it says it was incorrect, and it will give me feedback on how I can improve my answer and what to think about, while also giving me the citations, so I always know it's basing it on the right information. When I'm done with my exam, I simply click Create Exam, and I'll get a nice overview of how I did. And I can click Finish, and I'm back in the chat. So all my chats are collected here, all my exams are also collected here. Everything I do will be collected in my course library. And at any time I can switch course or just chat without a course.
Thank you, Andrea. And then perhaps we can end then just on a little bit around where people can find you, where people can discover the Klar.
Yeah. Join Klar. It's the Instagram, and the TikTok is actually, so we were called before this Tenta Klar. So we still have that TikTok name because it's so associated. It means like exam ready in Swedish as well. So it's like Klar with Tenta Klar. But yeah, but also on, I would definitely say, I mean, we met, you reached out to me on LinkedIn, and I was very like active there. That's also, if you want to, you have to maybe edit this, but in a way with the podcast. But I think that's also one of my biggest tips to everyone out there. Build in public. Like that's how you do it these days. It's changed so much with how like all of the fundraising and everything and how this works. I think that's really the key to just, again, come back to what Eric said, get your work out there and get people involved early on your journey.
Great. Yeah, a bit of advice. So yeah, we'll include the links to you guys and
we can send over exactly. But yeah, we're just that we are the next phase is we are raising and we want to expand the team, and we are looking for like technical persons, people as well, or like engineers, but also anyone interested in this space that think that they want to be a part of our journey and building Klar are more than welcome to reach out. We are always looking for new interesting people in all aspects.
Fantastic. Well, yeah, as you said, you got huge, exciting road ahead of you. So yeah, we'll include in the description links to get in touch if you want to join Klar or support the journey. Isabel, Eric, and Andreas from afar, Thank you so much for hopping on, sharing your story. Really amazing, story that you've had to date. A lot of lessons learned. I've certainly enjoyed it. So I look forward to following your journey from here.
Thank you so much. It was really nice. Yeah, thank you so much. And
Yeah.
great
Appreciate
work you do getting these stories out there. I think it's inspiring as well to listen to others as well.
Thank you. Yeah, no, it's been really, really nice hearing the stories directly from yourself in terms of how you've set it up, what you've learnt, and what your plans are. So yeah, good luck with the raise, and no doubt we'll see you in the US very
Yeah.
soon as well.
Okay. Perfect.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much.